So the first person to successfully make a skyscraper, his name is Louis Sullivan. He's gonna make the first one in St. Louis. And more or less, since the first skyscraper, we have watched buildings become larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. Okay? Currently, the largest skyscraper in the world is in Tokyo.
Wait,
Is that Dubai? Well, all right then.
It's in my house, actually.
Not one of my biggest care points in life. It kind of feels like a giant European contest, but anyway.
How do you make a
How it works is it's actually pretty cool. Second, that's called a sandcastle. That's not how this works. Okay.
Make yours go front.
Right, you know, city. MGK. Hello.
It's so loud when it does it.
Construction. 1.5 billion.
Why are you so loud? He sounds like he's like lazy.
Oh, sorry.
Besides, look, building, I really don't care about cities.
Oh.
Don't care.
Can we look up a picture of it? I forget what it looks
Stadiums, sure. Monuments, cool. City buildings, how tall they are, I really don't care. Basically, after the point, it's like, how big is that building?
It's like unnecessarily big.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that. That's basically the, I'm going to make the biggest building in the world page. Yeah.
It's a hotel. I mean,
Burj Dubai.
the fact that Dubai.
Alright, so how do skyscrapers work? What they do is, with large steel beams, they're going to make large cubes and they're going to stack them on each other. And what happens is, they stack up these large beams in cubes. Now what's interesting is this. Everything inside the cube flooring is all hung just off of those beams. So the weight on the 72nd floor is not on the weight of the stuff on the first floor. That makes sense? More or less, the walls themselves are hung off the cubes, okay? Instead of all of the walls weighing up to 70 on the 72nd floor. So which means that basically, if you had it all kind of all interconnected on one long wall without any type of separation, the pressure alone from that 72nd floor and the first would crush the windows, okay? But because it basically is hanging off of it almost like a curtain, okay? Not literally, right? But the whole idea of basically hanging it off of it keeps the building stable. The other thing that's going to happen is, this also because of how tall these get, this slight separation of each of the panels, okay, is also going to allow the building to shift and move because of the wind currents. That makes sense? Some buildings, especially in California, because of the earthquakes, they're going to have suspensions at the base underneath the ground, which can actually allow the building to go up to 14 degrees in movement, which is pretty terrifying in my mind.
I'd be scared.
But at least the building isn't collapsing on you, right? Which I've always heard is a bad day. You had a question?
You've heard that?
Oh, yeah. I was asking about the wind.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so more or less, the reason why they have it shaped that way is for that very reason, is to be able to shift these around. Then you've got Frederick Olmsted. Frederick Olmsted is going to create what we think today known as the City Beautiful movement. The City Beautiful movement is basically allowing nature, monuments, statues, things like that within the city, okay, to bring nature into urban areas. So examples around Erie, Frontier Park, Perry Square, Presque Isle. All of these areas basically allow nature to be in an urban area. Probably the most famous one in our country is Central Park. Here's an image of what Central Park looked like in the 19th century. and it literally looks like you've ever been to New York City, is it just appears, right? It's just like building, 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 building. Nature, building, building, right? It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Everyone got this down? You all good?
Yes.
Okay. Back. And so when you have these parks are basically becoming kind of monumentation. If you've ever been to Perry Square, you've got various monuments around Perry Square. Right next to the courthouse, you've got the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. Across the way, you've got the Oliver Hazard Perry Monument, okay? And more or less, that's kind of a microcosm of what these city beautiful parks look like. Now, 100 years ago, why there's basically kind of like, we'll call it like woods and grassland inside the city, was this is where you fed your horses 100 years ago, okay? And basically over time, they turned them into pretty looking parks. Technology's also expanded really, really quickly. So being able to quickly type out things is really started in 1867 by Christopher Sholes with a typewriter. Now, if you look at a current electronic keyboard or your laptop keyboard or whatever it may be, okay, you'll notice we have a specific keyboard with the keys. Why do we have these? Okay, why do we have what's known as the QWERTY system? Why it's called the QWERTY system is, if you look at the top left of the keys, it spells out QWERTY. Okay?
Wasn't his name the guy who made it, Court Youth or something?
What's that?
The guy who like picked
Yeah, the guy who makes the patterns, basically. So Christopher Sholes makes the concept of the typewriter invention. The guy who last name at QWERTY is basically going to put his name as kind of the signature on the keyboard. There was over 15 different variations of the keyboard, one of them being completely alphabetical, one of them being having the vowels in the center, okay, and the consonants surrounding it. The QWERTY system works because what they do is they experiment using secretaries' typewriters to find out which one allowed people to type the fastest, okay? And the QWERTY system was found to be the one that worked the best, and that's why we use it today, okay? And it's basically become the standard for all keyboards, even still now, okay? If you've never used a typewriter, basically what it does is it types a line, and when it hits the end of the line, it'll make a ping sound, which then you have to then slide the type back to the left side, and it goes down to the next level, okay? The other catch here is with a typewriter. You have to do individual keys. The keys individually have to hit the paper, okay? Which means you can't have two keys at the same time because they'll actually smash together, and you'll get like a double letter, which is bad. And you gotta use whiteout.
If you mess up, don't you have to start over?
No, you basically, that's why we have whiteout. That's actually why whiteout became a thing. Because basically you can blob it out, tamp it down, and then let it air dry, and then restart it. Yeah, that's what the first typewriter looks like. Has anyone ever used one, just out of curiosity? Anyone ever used one? What for?
Huh?
What for?
Test it out.
Just kind of playing with it? Okay.
Where?
Does anyone actually use it for writing or typing? I know some authors still like doing that.
I've tried to build it before, but like not in the first year. It was
Yeah. See, the problem with a typewriter is this. It just feels like you're kind of like, it feels like you're kind of like doing like chopstick fingers. The next big moment here is airplanes. And this is something that, again, I think we really take as modern people for granted. But the idea that just 110 years ago, 113 officially, right? Or no, 114 now. Wow. 114 years ago, no one ever successfully flew without dying, right? Many people, for thousands of years, have tried flying devices. Many people have done basically what looks like those Red Bull competitions, where they make flying devices and dump them off the water. Orville and Wilbur Wright were bicycle mechanics who were making bicycles in 1903. Bicycles, as we know it, are actually a very modern thing as well. Prior to that, they had a thing called high wheelers, where more or less you had the pedals connected to the front wheel. Okay, does anyone ever know what I'm talking about high wheelers?
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone not know? You're allowed to. Okay. Anyways, so you jump on the bike, okay?
I'll show it to you just for fun.
Pop a wheelie.
You definitely could not pop a wheelie with that, but
Why?
I'll show you.
Literally like,
You don't know what I'm talking about,
can
though.
you try?
Okay, so you have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm not, I'm being serious.
I am too. All right.
Sweet.
All right, I'm gonna come right back to this. This is what a high wheel looks like. Okay?
You could definitely pop. I feel like you could, but.
Yeah,
You could, but it's not. You're not gonna be able to do much. Okay.
What is that?
Why?
The high wheeler. So we're learning
So the issue is this: the idea of having a chain suspension propelling the back tire, okay, really was not properly invented or figured out yet.
Oh my god, are you dead?
So what you have to do is this. What you've got to do is this. You have to run up alongside it. You're going to put either your right or left foot on here, and you're basically going to have to jump onto the high wheel. Then you basically are going to pedal off of that right there directly. And when you're done, you basically launch off of it, Superman style, and you catch this rail with your hand, and that's how you can get off the high wheel.
How tall is this thing?
What's that?
How tall is it?
About this tall.
No shot.
Yeah, you have those shots.
So more or less, the foot pedal's right here. Okay.
How would they jump on it?
Did someone just come along and was like, let's make it normal size?
Well, no, what happens is this.
Hey, for me.
Obviously, one of the major issues is women have no shot at riding this because of skirts, right? You've got no shot. No, you do. So, well, yeah, but you're showing the goods then, right? That's not good.
I want to see videos, I'm trying to get on.
What's that?
He shows that you look at a video of someone getting on it.
taxes in
Sure.
this?
Probably.
Yeah, you have to get your dude, that would to raise taxes.
They're 100%, bro.
Jump on it, you can't raise it any further, it's 20%.
Bro, have you ever gone with jet skiing?
Wait,
You go up in the
You should
air
be able to
and land
set them
on
up.
the guys. Oh my
I don't care about their happiness. I just want them to pay me taxes.
You just stop the machine.
You fall off?
No, I just stay up.
You're nuts, guys. He's good.
Yeah, you do.
I hate falling off.
There
There you go.
Okay, ready?
Every day.
See, I knew all of you.
I like how you bash the guy.
Jeez.
You can balance while stepping up.
He makes it look really easy.
Because no matter what.
That's easy.
Say little boy doing it. Yeah, it's a good roll.
Yeah.
It's nice.
See?
It will hurt a lot more if you fall down, so it's a lot higher.
Yes.
Good observation.
Very,
Okay, here we go.
No, I have a midget fight and it hurt so bad when I fell every time.
And then you just go backwards. And
Wow.
there you go.
Peace out, boy.
You give us a peace sign.
Yeah, can you look up
Oh, Midget Friday Highway.
5'3".
All right. So 1895, the Schwinn Bicycle Company is going to come out with the first normal bicycle as we think of it. Okay.
Why are the handles down?
What's that? It's a touring bicycle, just like you would think of like the Tour de France.
Yeah, just bikes like that.
Yeah. And then what's going to happen is for women, they're going to drop the bar lower so that way they can have dresses on. That's why the bar is lower. Okay. And obviously this is for neutering bad drivers, right? Right. No laugh at all. No laugh at all. Wow. Talk about guys, the straight bar, that's how you need your guys. Alright, so Orville Wilbur Wright come up with this idea, basically making a large, light wooden frame kite with a lawnmower engine on it, okay? It is not a really, really great idea. Not a good idea in my mind, but works for them.
I can eat it.
The first successful airplane flight by the Wright brothers will go 120 feet at 12 seconds. Has anyone ever been to Kitty Hawk to go to the monument? It's basically a sand dune with a monument on it. It's really,
No, that's not the check.
it's really not that cool.
No, yeah.
Well,
Does it matter that it's not?
gentlemen, hey, come on now. So,
My uncle was in the Navy. He said the ship he was on was a USS Kitty Hawk.
He's lying.
here, it can be.
Is that so? Does that relate to that?
Yeah, that's basically to the Now, what's interesting is there's still kind of this debate on where's the real birthplace. Was it where the plane was built at Dayton, or was it where it's successfully flown in North Carolina?
I'd say North Carolina.
I'd say
Yeah.
That's where it actually happened, right? Instead of where it theoretically happened, right?
Oh, 'cause you're North Carolina.
Here's one of the images
Wow, he's up there.
of what the plane looks like. So more or less, you sit
Why are you ever getting that?
You sit on the front, okay? And if you notice, it's got skis right here, so basically land kind of successfully.
No.
Did he wreck when he landed that?
What's that?
Did he wreck it?
He wrecked a couple times, but he does have successful flights here.
How does it not
And what they do is, they more or less have rails that are going to propel it off. So more or less, it has a propellant that's going to move it across the rails and guide it off of a hill. And he could fly it relatively good, and he basically keeps perfecting it. Yes.
Is that a light sticking off the front?
What's that?
Is that a light off the front?
No, that's basically showing him the windage. Yeah. Yes.
Also, so how was this picture taken? Because you say like the pictures back then, like
I'll show you in actually 1 second, literally.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Pictures are taken like this with action shots by the Kodak camera. George Eastman, get this down. George Eastman is going to create the first action photograph. Now what's interesting is this though. With this camera, you can now take pictures by just pushing that button on the top right there. Okay? This is the key that's going to move the film in the reel to the next proper image. Okay? Now, I don't know if any of you have ever used film. Probably most of you have only used digital cameras. But back then, even up to the 1990s, okay, you had film casings that you put inside the camera. You had the first one, which was basically a blank image that you took the picture real quick and turned it into. And then from then on, you had the images. And what they would do is this. You took out the doorway right there, okay? Open that up, put in the film, close the door, and basically this is your mobile camera. When you're finished, you put the film, you roll it back up, you put it in a little canister, and then you went to a place that developed the photographs and basically blew them up into what size you wanted. Okay, that basically the same process was going on really up until the late 90s when digital cameras faded that away. So back then, you took photographs in hopes that they turned out well, and then you'd get them developed, and you'd see what you got. You also had those disposable cameras as well, did the same thing. But instead of you having a camera for long term, you basically took the pictures until you hit 0, and then you gave it to the Photoshop, and they did the film that way. Yes.
You can even like check if like the picture turned out good, so you can just take it and be like,
You took it in hopes. Yes. You took it in hopes.
gotta have faith.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to see inside the telescope what's it going to look like,
Yeah.
right? But you don't know for sure if you know if you got like smudged it, whatever.
85, now it's 77.
No.
So, for instance, this is an image of around 1900 of what a city looked like. If you look at the picture itself, it's not as detailed as the Civil War images. The reason being is because the exposure time is significantly less and the technology's improved, because exposure time is less, the quality of the image is not as good as the original images, okay? So what's interesting is, by the late 90s, we're going to have cameras with lenses that are good enough to get that kind of detail, But well, I take it back, but probably like the 30s. You got it with that kind of detail, and it basically gets perfected over time. But now we're making them smaller and smaller and smaller.
That's nice.
It's not bad. No, it's not bad. But it's not as detailed as basically like the first image. I mean, this is done in 1949. Okay, cat's alive. But I mean, you can see a lot more detail there.
You can almost count the individual hairs.
Right. I mean, you can see all the texture here. Whereas, like for instance, like the building itself, a little fuzzy. You can't see like all the individual bricks, things like that. You can see it there, but you can't see it here. All right. Public education. Public education becomes a really mainstream thing after the Civil War and after Reconstruction. Stop. On average, you have people going to school for 12 to 16 weeks, basically after growing season, but before growing season starts. So more or less, you would be in school from September until about March for the average school year. At this time, people are getting, in our eyes, about a 6th grade education. You could then, if you chose to, go to high school and then go to a college or university. You also have to recognize, though, the amount of education they're getting is far less than what we have today. So, as an example, biology is just starting to become mainstream. Physics is just starting to become mainstream. Chemistry is really on its complete infancy. History is only being taught for the U.S. perspective. World history is not really being discussed. English is mostly looking at both literature and also still predominantly Latin-based, because most universities, really up until around 1920, are doing almost entirely English and Latin literature. Dominic?
When was that court case that was like a science teacher taught evolution? And
That would be the
origin?
1924 Scopes trial.
Oh, so that's still like way.
Yeah, where a teacher taught in Louisiana the theory of evolution, even though it was illegal within the state. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
How much on there?
We got Now, one of the major problems with education this time is you have segregation at the best. A lot of racial discriminations going on both north and south. A lot of African American children, if they're not being taught by black teachers, they're basically not getting schooling whatsoever. And that becomes a major, major issue for these people who are now the first generation post-slavery. That becomes a major, major issue. And I mean, again, this is one of those things that you've got to recognize, that slavery is not that far away from us. And I'm not trying to go on the guilt trip here, it's just kind of a reality. We're not that far away from it. We're only now 3 full generations away from slavery. So the transition's almost complete now. But there's still a little bit of work to be done now.
Think it'll ever go away?
What's that?
Think it'll ever go
I
away?
think it will. I think it will. The issue is we have to see it as a non-issue. Once people see it truly as a non-issue, it will be a non-issue. Because racism is a social construction. Okay, it's not like the human body is different depending on what your skin tone is or where you came from. It's basically, it's culturally how you were raised that makes you different, right? And so the idea basically you're superior or inferior based off your skin color really doesn't make any sense. It's completely off of your adaptations of wherever you came from globally. That's all it is. Remember, there's a difference between adaptations and modifications. Modifications mean it's like a permanent change. Okay, so like for instance, like you've got, I don't know, you've got an extra finger or something. Okay, that's a permanent modification. That's different. Okay, where adaptations, like here's an example of adaptation. If you live in a high altitude climate such as Denver, Colorado, okay,
You're smart.
your lungs will, within about a 2 to 3 weeks time span, will actually get larger because there's less oxygen in the air. Therefore, your lungs have to expand to get the same amount of O2. This is why a lot of people, specifically Olympic athletes, will train in Denver to get larger lungs. And then what happens is basically over the next year or two, if you're in a lower altitude climate, your lungs will slowly decrease back to its original size. What's that?
Can you feel it?
No, you wouldn't really feel it. Basically, slowly over time. Yeah.
Yeah, I have family from Colorado, and they go snowboarding like all the time at this place called Breckenridge, and they said the altitude is so high there. They just came here this weekend, and we went to the peak, and they said that they felt like really good since they're
Yeah, this is also another reason why people really like the beach. People really like the beaches because you're at the lowest altitude possible, besides obviously below sea level, right? And you're getting a lot more oxygen in your system. Therefore, you think you're feeling better, which you are, because you have more oxygen running through your body, higher circulation, which means your body thinks it's feeling great. That's why whenever people go to the beach, they're like, oh, I don't want to ever leave, because you're getting so much more oxygen, plus the sun, plus the water.
Stop touching guys.
Good looking. Getting weird, dude.
And not so good looking.
Sand.
I say, when I was in the Outer Banks, there was a lot of people who were European vacationers, and they were wearing banana hammers that I did not appreciate. Not in the least. Okay? I'd like you to get this down. This is the Grand Army Republic. This is the Civil War Veterans Group. Yeah. No. You've been talking all the time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just stop
No,
because you say
you've been distracting him and talking the entire time.
Alright.
Thank you. This is a union-only veterans organization. And what this organization did was basically help out veterans. Now, in today's world, we've got the VA hospital, we've got the Montgomery GI Bill that basically, when you leave the military, you've got scholarship for college tuition, you've got a discounted rate for mortgages and loans, okay? Back at the end of the Civil War, there's none of that. It's basically, thanks for fighting the Civil War, too bad you lost a left leg, move on with life, okay? The GAR is really going to be the first group to focus on supporting veterans' rights. Now, if you ever go into any cemetery that is older than 1900, you will see this marker on a lot of gravestones. This is the GAR marker for Union veterans. And that means Grand Army of the Republic. This will be around until the last Civil War veteran dies. You want to take a guess when?
1959.
Oh, I have it on there. Oh, man. Should have kept it as kind of let that kind of percolate there. Yeah, 1959.
Is that 12-year-old that served all 3 years?
Yeah.
2000.
Again, it's not that far away. What's even more bizarre is the 1870s, Civil War veterans are going to get a retirement pension system that's going to help both veterans who are uninjured and injured. And we're still paying that pension right now to their children. We still have 3 people that are still getting Civil War era pensions from their fathers.
How much is that?
In today's money, it's like $300, which kind of tells you how much they were getting per month, by the way, per month. So it's really not much, but it's something. Yeah.
Would you take an extra $300 a month?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's actually why the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, was created, was to basically manage the money that was being distributed for pensions.
We need to get rid of that.
What's that?
The IRS like relevant now, or you don't want
The IRS is not really needed because most of the tax calculations, the people are now forced to do individually with their tax returns. So more or less, you need a much, much smaller agency that basically oversight and audit tax returns that are looking like this kind of issue. The other thing is there's actually a lot of businesses now that are doing it individually for states and locals that you don't really need a government to do that. But the government, once they make departments, it's really hard for them to think that we don't need that department anymore. Now, there were posts basically in every town. Ours was on 6th Street, and it was known as the Strong Vincent Post because that was the commander of the 83rd who dies at Gettysburg. And some of the monuments in Erie were actually made by this JR. I'll show you them in a second. Feel good? Good. Okay. So one of them being is at Gettysburg. This is the 83rd monument with his likeness on it. This is his death marker where he is shot. And then just across the way from the courthouse on the Perry Square is the Soldiers and Sailors Monument for all the Erie, Crawford, and Mercer County veterans that you can still go check out today. They actually just finished cleaning it, so it looks really nice.
Do you know what those ones in Northeast are?
Oh, really?
That is,
You went to States?
that is for the
I went to State,
111
Nevada. Back in June.
soldiers.
Hey, why don't you just focus on that part?
Yeah, Ray Gibson part of it.
Yeah, that's another Soldiers and Sailors Monument for Civil War veterans. Yeah. More or less every major square. What's even more interesting is the first Civil War veterans monument in the United States. It was in 1864 in Girard.
Oh, really?
That monument that's right in town that you've got to go around. That's the first Civil War
yeah.
monument ever.
I have 12.
Yeah,
Ever.
I keep upgrading buildings so they get
done by Dan Rice the clown. Yes. Yeah, Dan Rice days. Dan Rice was a clown. As in like, doo, 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 that clown. No, like a clown.
Oh, wow.
From a circus. And he had a traveling circus that wintered in Girard. And he was personal friends with Lincoln. And he did a lot of fundraising for the Union Army during the Civil War. He's why Girard still has the Dan Rice case. Yeah. That was why Girard even became a town, was basically the circus people needed some place to stay in the winters. Yeah. There was one time
That's why there's a bunch of
a
weirdos.
tiger escaped in Girard one time in the 1880s, and they like took them weeks to find the tiger in the woods. Yeah. Pretty scary.
Yeah, what ranks are the woods?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
What's that? Probably deer. Badgers. Love badgers. I don't love badgers. I'm just being sarcastic. So here's Washington and Du Bois. And no, it's not Dubois. That'd be if he was a hockey player.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me get the top bullet there. Washington was in his childhood, he was a slave, emancipated in 65, and he's going to believe in what's known as the gradual approach for equality. Throughout Reconstruction, the 1880s, up until his death in 1912, he is going to be trying to promote the gradual approach for equality. Basically recognizing that there is societal racism within the United States and that the way to pick up the African American population is by putting them in colleges such as the Tuskegee Institute and giving them skilled labor to then eventually get them into professional degrees. His belief that was within 2 generations, which is currently pretty accurate, within 2 generations, the races would be seen as equal. Okay. And Washington is going to be supported primarily by the white population. He's still reviled in the South because the South didn't see that any approach would work. But he's kind of seen as the accepted one. Person most kind of associated with him would be similar to King. Martin Luther King Jr. had the same idea, but his idea was basically the next step. His was the legislative approach. Have we got the first bullet? We good?
Good.
Okay. Then you've got Du Bois. Again, top bullet. Du Bois wanted to focus on giving scholarships to high IQ African Americans, put them in colleges, and basically force their way into equality. So basically fight for that equality instead of waiting for it. Now, why Du Bois becomes so popular is because he's the first African American person to get a PhD at Harvard. So finish up tomorrow.
Smarty. Yeah. Even though